To manually create the CS online, select the Manually Create a CS option on the CS Options page. Click on the Continue button and it'll take you to the CS Header search page. On the CS Type field, select Compulsory, then click on the New button. You'll be taken to the CS Header page. First, you'll have to create the CS Summary details by entering the contribution period. This is the contribution month and year, as well as the wages paid month and year. The total contribution amount, the number of employees, and the total wages paid. Then you click on the Save button. Now you enter the employee records by clicking on the New button on the CS Details panel. For this exercise, we'll be entering 2 employee records. Enter the following details: FNPF ID, which is the new FNPF number made up of 11 characters, or the Legacy ID, which is the old FNPF number made up of 7 digits. The Tax Identification Number, or TIN, the first, middle, and last names. This has to be the same as what appears in their birth certificates. If the names differs from FNPF records, we will notify you to make the necessary changes. Enter the compulsory contribution amount. This is the 8%, which is deducted from the employee's wages, and the 10% is the employer's contribution. Enter any employer or employee additional contribution if there is any. The employer additional is any amount that the employer is willing to contribute apart from the 10%. The employee additional is the amount the employee opts to contribute apart from the mandatory 8%. Enter the total contribution amount. The total contribution must not exceed 30% of your employee's gross wages. The total monthly gross wages, select the correct employment status, which will indicate to FNPF whether the employee is active, meaning that they are working, on leave, which indicates that the employee is on any unpaid leave, or terminated, meaning that the employee has resigned or has been terminated. Enter the employment status date, which will indicate to FNPF when this employment status commenced. The employment status and the employment status date fields only needs to be filled if there are changes, otherwise you can leave these fields blank. Enter the occupation code. If you're not sure about your employee's occupation code, then please search for the right code by clicking on the lookup button. This occupation code is related to occupations derived from the 2007 Fiji Standard Classification of Occupation. Enter the payment frequency. Click on Save. It's important to note that most of the details in all the columns in the CS form will remain unchanged unless there are changes to the contribution amount and if there are new employees. The calculation of the contribution amount applies to the dollars and cents in the gross wages and not just the dollars as has been the practice. The total contribution amount in the CS header and the CS details must match. Forms that are incomplete or have incorrect information will not be accepted by FNPF. The CS detail status should have changed from review to valid. However, there'll be no need for you to manually enter each employee record if you had previously submitted a CS and it had been approved by FNPF, because the employee details for that CS will be automatically populated into the CS details. You will only need to make changes to a specific employee record if any of the details has changed. You will still have to save the employee records in order to submit the CS. If there are no errors given on the Validation Info panel, click on the previous button, which takes you back to the CS header page. Here, you will click on the Submit button. Your CS header status should now read Submitted. Thank you for choosing to use FNPF's Employer e-Services portal, and we hope our online services will assist you with your superannuation obligations.